While many of us down here on Wall Street are taking a look at some of the largest companies in the world, it should come as no surprise, tariffs and other key economic headwinds are most certainly affecting small businesses as well. Here to help us make sense of the current landscape for small business is Gene Marks, small business columnist for The Guardian and The Hill. Gene, appreciate your time and joining us here once again. How would you describe the overall health or the state of U.S. small business today, Gene?
Well, JD, it's a tough question to answer because there are 33 million small businesses in this country. We live in a big place. So the answer to that is most appropriate is it depends. There are plenty of small businesses that are still doing quite well. It depends on their region, depends on their industry, depends on their customer base that they're selling to. There are others, like always, that are always facing challenges. But generally, when I look at my client base, I'm a CPA, and I look at the people that I cover, I could say that, for the most part, small businesses are muddling along, but very, very uncertain, JD, about what the future holds for them.
Oftentimes, Regina, and I noticed this phenomenon as soon as interest rates started to go higher a few years ago, moments of pressure for the economy tend to separate the haves from the have-nots. In a high interest rate environment, it's the big corporations that can withstand the pressure better than small corporations. And I wonder to what degree we're seeing that play itself out with tariffs. Are there unique pressure points on small businesses trying to navigate the tariff landscape that maybe their larger counterparts can naturally do a better job at?
Larger counterparts and big corporations tend to diversify their assets, and you're right, they have more resources. When you're running a small business, you don't really have that advantage. Not a typical advantage. I mean, example. Nowadays there are a lot of small businesses that sell online, JD, so even where you are in New York, I mean, there are countless small business owners working out of their apartments throughout Manhattan that are selling stuff on Etsy and, and Amazon and eBay. And, that's how they're making their livelihood, and good for them. This wasn't happening 20 years ago. But the downside is that a lot of them are really reliant on certain types of suppliers. So imagine having an entire livelihood where you're selling furniture or crafts or clothing or whatnot, and your main supplier is from China, and then finding out that tariffs have increased 185%, and where you were at once the low-cost provider, or at least competitive, now suddenly, I mean, you can't even get into the game. So for a lot of small businesses where they have most of their risk is pooled with a specific supplier or customer, which tends to happen with small businesses, they're facing way more challenges than a larger company faces.
Gene, you just mentioned a few. What are the other types of small businesses that you're seeing are most vulnerable to the back and forth, the tit for tat and tariff policy we've seen over the last month and a half or so?
Well, first of all, it's businesses that aren't in the service industries. They're the most vulnerable. Now, the good news is that a great many small businesses, I mean, more than half, way more than half, are actually in service industries, JD. I mean, there are ones that are architects, accountants, marketing people, providing, they're independent contractors doing service in the construction industry, or even trainers and consultants. So you have a lot of those small businesses out there that are just providing services. When you're providing services, unless your clients are really reliant on tariffs, you tend to be a little bit insulated from the effects of tariffs. The ones that are hit the hardest are the ones that are manufacturers and the ones that are distributors. They're the ones that have to buy materials and goods from overseas, or through companies that are selling them goods where parts of them are coming from overseas as well. Those are the people that are hit the most. I mean, I have one client in San Diego. For example, this guy, he sells electronic components. One of his biggest suppliers is from China. He's been trying hard to diversify, but he's a distributor, and that's where you go to get those kinds of goods. And because of the Chinese tariffs, he's being hit really hard. So manufacturers, distributors, they are the ones that are hit the hardest. And then, of course, the retailers down the chain that are selling those manufactured goods, they're also hit hard because these price increases impacts their ability to sell.
Have you already seen a bit of a shift? I mean, we've heard from a lot of the larger publicly traded companies and the big corporations in terms of trying to avoid sort of the worst of the supply chain gunk up process. Are you seeing a bit of a rotation in strategy from small businesses? And again, I know it's tough to paint the state of American small business with a broad brush, but I'd have to imagine you're seeing some maneuver to try and get ahead of expectations, understanding that path forward is very unclear especially with things like a 90-day pause, because we don't know what comes on the other side of that 90-day?
It's a really good question. And by the way, yeah, you're right. It's a big population. But listen, my firm has about 600 clients. I have a lot of people that read my stuff, and I interview a lot of business owners. I'm seeing a shift, but not enough of a shift, JD. And I've been a little bit disappointed at a lot of small business owners' ability to read the tea leaves. Trump has been talking about tariffs since he's been campaigning. He was big into that in those rallies over the summer. When he became president, when he got elected, I did have a number of clients that read those tea leaves, and they made some shifts. They brought some manufacturing back, here. They found alternative suppliers. They made some moves. But you know what? Not enough. I had too many clients and too many readers, people I just mentioned previously that are, e-commerce people or distributors or whatnot, that kind of ignored that. It's like they almost hoped against hope that this wasn't going to happen. And now they're paying the price. And I'm warning them and warning anybody watching us speak that although I do think that a lot of the tariff negotiations between the EU countries, Mexico, Canada, I think they will be resolved in the next few months and most likely favorably to the U.S. I think China is going to be a long-term problem. I think this 90-day suspension that we have right now, it's a little bit of a breather, but it's not going to solve the issue. And I'm telling my clients, I'm telling my readers, if you're still reliant on Chinese materials and supplies and customers, you really need to be jumping and making some alternative plans.
Gene, are there regional discrepancies? I wonder, are you seeing small businesses in certain parts of the United States able to withstand tariff policy related pressure better than others?
I wish I could have said that, and I probably could have said that a number of years ago, but not so much now because you have so many businesses that are spread all around the country. We live in a global economy. We have a lot of businesses that are working remotely, and they're moving all over the place. So I don't really think it's a regional impact so much. You can make the argument that one town might have a manufacturer that's really suffering, or the agriculture industry in the Midwest might be impacted more, but not so much that I'm seeing regionally as I'm seeing just across the board. I can tell you a few things that business owners are doing, JD, if it helps, that they're helping to navigate their way around these tariffs as well. Like bonded warehouses and free trade zones have been just exploding in popularity. There's a number of them around the country. And if you really are at risk of, say, Chinese tariffs, you can bring goods into a bonded warehouse and pay no tariffs at all until you pull the goods out of the bonded warehouse. So it's a way to hedge against tariffs and hope that these things kind of shake out. And I have a lot of clients that are making moves towards bonded warehouses and free trade zones. I also have a lot of clients that are joining up with nonprofits to help them find alternative suppliers. A great one is the World Trade Center Association. I've written about them a few times in The Guardian and The Hill and other places. They will match your business with alternate suppliers around the world in more tariff-friendly countries, and then make those introductions and even accompany you on trips. And I have a number of people that I talk to that have really succeeded in finding more tariff-friendly goods by using the World Trade Center Association. They're just one of a few organizations out there that are really, really good in helping small businesses. So World Trade Center Association, those are like two things businesses should be doing to try and navigate their way around this.
This is a really crucial time to be having these conversations, to put a focus on small businesses and to make sure that they are just as actively a part of the conversation in this bit of an uncertain economic environment as the biggest names on the block as well. That's why I am so grateful for your expertise and your time today. Gene Marks, small business columnist for The Guardian and The Hill. Gene, you're welcome back anytime. Thanks for being here.